So you were an Olympian.
Yeah, you're in the Olympics, right?
You're in the Olympics.
Maybe I should have told you guys this before I got here. But no.
Well, then you can just leave. The door's right there.
Sorry.
I got let on. I thought we were meeting an Olympian.
Sorry, Stadium. I know you guys are trying to,
This is
get
a mess.
some legends on the podcast, but unfortunately, no. But to your point, I played in what's called the World Dwarf Games. And so that's technically the highest competition for some sports that I could have done.
Awesome.
Sorry, what was it called?
The World Dwarf Games.
World Dwarf Games. Okay.
Yeah, look it up. It's pretty sick. No, I'm just teasing. But at the same time, it's super cool to like meet like a bunch of people that also have like your same conditions and like you share similar experiences and like.
Is it pretty competitive? Like, are there people that just take it super seriously?
Well, you get a weird mix of like people just trying to have a good time and they'll make a vacation out of it.
Nice.
Oh, really?
And so, like for example, the last time I didn't go to this one, but it was out in Germany in 2023. But if I went to Germany, I was like, oh, I would have visited like all Europe and had a great time.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so you talk to some of the people there and you're like, yeah, they're just having a great time. But then also you got some people that are like, hey, like, I want to win.
Yeah.
And so in 2017, when you played, you were playing against Germany for bronze.
Yeah, in floor hocky.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was
floor hockey.
Not,
it was
not the
nice.
first time the Americans have beat the Germans,
Yeah,
and it won't be the last time either.
It was a fun experience, and I think what made it special for me is I was 17 at the time, and I was competing
Oh,
against
jeez.
like people like they're adult, like 28, 30
Right.
year olds, you know, and so like I was clearly like out muscled, I was like outclassed in some ways.
For sure.
But you just got to be a dog out there. You got to try and do what you got to do, and so it was quite fun to compete. And I
So
did
cool.
kind of technically get carried. I was not like a starter, so to speak. First line is what they call it.
So what is floor hockey?
Yeah, so you're basically just playing on the gym floor. So whatever, if you played hockey in like elementary school, kind of the same thing.
Okay,
and
cool.
If you're familiar with like field hockey, which is it's a very big in the East Coast, like a collegiate women's sport.
Dude, I've seen some of those games. They're wild.
They are nuts, and so you
Looks fun too.
Yeah, it does. Looks super
absolutely.
fun.
It's super. Like I respect the athleticism you got to do for that.
Yeah.
You're just running constantly, and that's kind of what it is. So but it's
cool.
fun.
That's awesome.
It's wild.
So actually, do you mind just like introducing yourself real quick and
Yeah,
just
for sure. I'm Lincoln. I used to be quote unquote co-Olympian, maybe you could call it, but I used to compete in dwarf athletics nationally and internationally, so that was a great experience for me. And I think growing up, I always just wanted to be involved in sports, and so that was a great resource for me. And then I was a sportswriter intern for a little bit, for about a couple years. Loved it, and so it's fun to see what you guys are doing.
Yeah, definitely.
I really respect that the podcast and the energy to put stuff out there, because I think that's the way you have to do it. If you're going to go into sports journalism or anything like that,
Yeah.
you have to be putting your face out there. You have to be putting
sure.
everything,
And
all
you-
resources.
You've worked. So you were a sports journalist intern for not one but two different organizations here in Utah, right?
Well, yeah, and so the sport that I would cover was Real Salt Lake at times, and then also some collegiate events for Utah State when I was up there as the undergrad. Typically, the most of the stories were around football, so that was quite exciting. I got to cover like a bit of their Mountain West Championship back in 21, which was super exciting. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was probably like the highlight, or probably the most effort I put in.
your sports writing? You started that, and you've probably seen a huge change in just what sports writing is now and sports media in general. So that's awesome. But so you had mentioned that you got involved in sports when you were like 13 or something, back in getting involved in soccer. Mm-hmm. How was that growing up?
Like, I think when I was just young, I don't know why I decided to do this, but it's just it's like the domino effect of who we are now. But I always just loved sports, and I like all my buddies in elementary school. Like, I was on the same rec team as them, but it was very obvious that like I was just there for fun, you know. So, you don't need to read the room to understand what's going on. But
It's like the game manager was like, "Bring senior night. Give him the jersey."
Yeah. And so that's what I loved doing when I was just that age, and like I love those guys, and I'm still like actually like pretty close with like a lot of them. So I think that's why I stuck with it. And from that, when they were starting to do like competitive like basketball, competitive like sports and stuff like that, I was like, oh, I'll follow them for soccer. And so I was like a team manager, so to speak, and I was with SJ here at Spencer. I was the team manager for Jordan High School's soccer, and that's how I met Spencer. And so it just kind of like it was a weird domino effect how I just wanted to stay with it, and it kind of led me into dwarf athletics, and then trying to be a sports writer, stuff like that. So it was a weird beginning, but it worked.
In dwarf athletics, when you got into that, were you like originally getting in like playing soccer, or was it like, oh, field hockey's like where'd the field hockey start? Because it seems like you started playing that at like a very competitive level. Did like soccer go with that too, or?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you say that because like soccer was always kind of like my goal, or like what I really wanted to do. But I feel like I had more team and individual success in other stuff. And so when I was younger, I kind of just participated and just signed up for almost everything I could. So I did like archery, and I also did
archery.
I even think I like signed up for table tennis, but so I technically competed, but it was just at the time when you're 13, it's not like that structured.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, there's no kind of like format to like try out. You just go.
Yeah.
Which is fun, and that's how you meet a lot of people in that way. So yeah, I just tried a bunch of events, and I feel like the two that I stuck with were soccer and floor hockey. And so yeah, as I mentioned, I felt like I was more committed to soccer. Soccer was more fun, and it's probably the most competitive or more sought after.
Okay.
In dwarf athletic, but at the same time, I think floor hockey is fun. It's something special about it. Yeah.
I got a question for you. Sorry, I know you had one.
Oh, no.
Link, who is the Lionel Messi of dwarf athletics?
That's a great question.
No,
Lincoln is the Lionel Messi.
This is a very niche thing.
You can't include yourself.
Yeah, no. Please, it's definitely not me. I am, but if I forget their names, but at least growing up, there was a TV show that followed this family, and one of them I think was Cody, and he was a stud. And it was on like a TLC. I think it was Little People Big World, something like that.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Everyone would kind of come up to me like, "Do you watch that?" And I like kind of went out of my way to be like, "No, I don't." Everyone talked about it, so I just felt like it was cool not to. But he was super good. And then this is kind of funny to bring up, but if you remember, like back in the day, with like we got like Vine, and I think he still does stuff with YouTube. But his name, I think, and it probably still is, like, it was Dwarf Mamba, and he did a lot of stuff with Logan Paul,
yeah.
and all those guys.
Yeah.
I think he's still routinely kind of goes on their podcast, but I don't keep up.
Wasn't he like a power lifter?
Yeah, so
Wait, for
I
real?
think that's his angle now, but he was incredibly good in soccer. Like,
really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And so those are kind of like the names that you hear of, if that makes sense, or that people have kind of like followed. I don't know if there's ever like a Messi equivalent. There's no Ballon d'Ors that we have, but maybe those two guys would have won a couple if we ever had anything like that. Yeah.
So I have one real quick question.
Yeah.
Dwarf national soccer team versus women's national soccer team.
Our women are killing it, dude. I think it's the men that need to step
It's a
up.
tie.
No, I'm just teasing. But yeah, dude, and it's a little different too because it's 8v8, so we play on a smaller field and it's just 8 players. But yeah, so the tactics, I guess you could say, are a little different. But yeah, it's kind of fun. Yeah,
They should give you guys simple martial weapons to use, like clubs or like slingshots. You're like, "Ugh."
that is probably
awesome.
if we were to
Let's do that on every level.
Yeah,
dwarf
do that on
athletics
every level,
more
dude.
like entertainment or like to get more publicity.
Yeah.
That's probably the angle we got to go. But that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
So
That's so cool. I want to hear more about the sports writing.
Yeah,
and I feel like
absolutely.
the idea of the MLS and its growth, and you were in it a couple years ago, right? And so was that more during like the rapid growth of the MLS?
yeah, it's grown in like weird phases.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I think there's always been a love for soccer in the U.S. It's just how do you tap into it?
Yeah.
Just because it's the only sport that's and you could probably argue maybe some others now that I mention it, but it's the only sport where like we're not not even close to the best, if that makes sense. Like we obviously have the best for American football, basketball. We've got so many. I mean, we just had the Olympics. We clearly have dominance in so many other things, but soccer is like the clear like eyesore, like the one zit on your face that's like we don't have it. And I think for a lot of people, when you're trying to grow a sport here in America, I mean, you talk to them like, oh, what's your favorite sport to follow? And it's like, oh, well, like I'm from Philadelphia, so I got the Eagles, I got the Flyers, I got the Phillies, I got like there's so many other teams. Like the Philadelphia Union's like the last thing they kind of think about, and just because like, well, if I want to watch soccer, I'll go and watch the Premier League in England. I'll watch La Liga in Spain. I'll watch the UEFA Champions League, stuff like that. And so it's a weird mix of like how do you build it internally.
Yeah.
And so we've tried to like bring in stars and just all sorts of things. And so it's been really fun to watch. Kind of like a weird culture of, hey, we know we're not the best, but we got pride in like the team that we have.
Yeah.
And we're gonna compete against now that like Messi's in the league, he clearly has brought in a lot of publicity. And so like you got local teams here in Utah being like, I can't wait for when Lionel Messi shows up in Sandy, Utah.
Oh, yeah,
at
dude.
At America First Stadium.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is a crazy like concept to think about. And so growth is coming in different ways. Will I think it will be a top 5 league in the near future? No. But just kind of seeing that shift happen, and I think that like it's fun to watch.
What do you think the answer is? Because obviously Miami brought in Lionel Messi, but he's kind of past his prime a little bit. He's kind of just played with his friends, kind of done whatever he's wanted. Yeah. I mean, he's Messi, so he can do
He's
that.
like the greatest.
Is that the answer going forward for the MLS?
Yeah, well, it's a weird kind of tinfoil cap moment where like a lot of people that follow MLS kind of have this conspiracy of like they have all these rules of what you can do to build a team, and there's like technically a salary cap, and then there's not.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And then like Messi's kind of come in and like, hey, can I bring Busquets? Can I bring Jordi Alba? You know, and like Luis Suarez.
Yeah.
And like the MLS is on one hand like, well, we do have rules, and then we also are like,
But you're Messi.
but you're Messi,
And we're trying to grow, and this is the best way to do it. So what do we do?
It's a weird kind of conundrum, and on one hand, as a league, you're like, yeah, you have to do it. But then if you're an owner or like a player in like, let's say, Cincinnati FC, you're thinking to yourself, what am I doing? Like, what's the point? And so it's just a weird, you threaten the competition while you do that, but you probably grow the numbers. And so I don't have a take, but I clearly have, like a little bit of disdain for it. But,
Yeah, but like you said, it is like growing the league. It kind of reminds me of like bench warmers when you have like that freaking Dominican guy walking on the field. It's like,
I am 13.
I'm 12.
Yeah.
And it's like 20. It's like, bro, like you have Lionel Messi, like, and his buddy is coming into Miami, right? And then,
Absolutely.
like you said, you're gonna go play against Cincinnati or, Real Salt Lake. Like, dude, it's gonna be, you're gonna see a wallop happen. But like, it is necessary for growth. And I like what you said about pride, because I think like American pride in their sports, like it's so nice to see. And that's why, like, I could not watch soccer, I could not watch baseball that much, but if I go to a game and you just see all those guys there and all those families there that they're like having a great time, they have pride in their team, like if you can bring that feel to soccer, like it's going to explode in America.
Yeah.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
What I love about the MLS too is it's a great opportunity to grow a fan base in a small market.
Absolutely.
Look at Utah. You got Real Salt Lake. You got Austin FC. You've got. Seattle has an NFL team, but you've got these smaller markets that are able to just create this fan base, and so that's really what MLS needs to keep drilling at. Nashville is another one.
Yeah.
Don't have a big NFL presence or a big major sport presence, but it's awesome to see some of these people, because people love sports. People love to just go die hard for something, and so. I think MLS, if it were to lean into that and expanding, it would need to continue to look for more small market teams.
Yeah, like it would be foolish not to be like, hey, we probably need a third team in New York or LA. But at the same time, you're thinking to yourself, hey, for some reason, like Columbus, they could be last in the league or first in the league, but they have 20,000 people that will show up every Saturday.
Yeah.
There's something special about that. And I love bringing, like anyone to see their first MLS game here in Utah. And they'll be like, do these like supporters, do they keep banging those like drums the whole 90 minutes? And because there's just no other sport that's like it. And so I like to show them like, hey, like, this is kind of like the atmosphere you can have. And like that's like a really cool section, and you can all get.
Can we bring that to the NBA? Can we have someone just
banging drums? Last time I tried to do that, they threw me out.
Yeah, you can't even. We tried to bring a sign in there one game, and like, no.
They're like, it has to be a sheet of paper, the size of a sheet of paper.
Brother,
We're like,
but yeah,
can we rip this sign in half?
Sometimes I get it, but it's
Yeah.
there is something special about just having a crazy atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I feel like the MLS, they have to make a decision Do they go and fit into this like international league style of football, or do they want to grow to the point where they take away the salary cap? Because they're kind of in the middle between these American sports leagues with salary caps, with this like super structured organization based, or do they want to go more, or like league based, or do they want to go more to this international kind of style where they're more organization and team based? And is that a sustainable model in America, and is the demand there?
That's a great point to bring up, because MLS, or at least U.S. soccer in general, is kind of answering both of those parts of your question in some way or shape or form. Will it work out? We'll soon see. But one answer is the Club World Cup. So it's coming here in the United States this summer. So everyone will get to see like different champions of different leagues throughout the world, which will be very exciting. They expanded it, meaning so there's going to be a few American teams there. And yeah, we'll have a chance to see like Manchester City and Real Madrid play in the U.S. And I think it's leading to this question of, hey, even though Europe is clearly the place to be for club soccer, but if we could expand that, it's clearly growing in Asia as well, especially like Saudi Arabia, China, South Korea, Japan. And so there's clearly a need and an expansion for an important of an international club competition. And then another caveat to that, what I'd add to that is we're also seeing a lot of new emphasis on American, like North and South American club competitions. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. I think it's a great way to at least get your name out there and to almost answer that old adage question of, can America compete?
Yeah.
Can American teams compete? And that will have to be, we'll probably perform well or maybe not so well, and we'll look at our salary caps. We'll look at how we structure our teams and think to ourselves, okay, like what's working, what's not. And I think that's how we'll kind of move forward from there.
America can compete. We have more Super Bowls than anybody.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not even close.
They don't have any SEC champions.
How many freaking Alabama SEC nights has Europe had, huh? I don't think any. But the global expansion is really important because like the NFL is also doing that.
Absolutely.
Like they just announced that huge list of like, Colts are going to be available in Germany and like Austria, and you're growing these markets. So like what happens with the salary cap, like with franchises that, the NFL, like very strict salary cap, right? But then you have like, international soccer. And if we keep expanding that direction, like, are we going to kind of see structures similar across different sports as they gain worldwide popularity? That's kind of another interesting question to think about too.
Yeah, it's, I think it's super special that you just had the Super Bowl champions start their season in Sao Paulo. Like, I don't think the people, like any diehard fan of gridiron football in Brazil will ever forget about that.
Yeah.
And so you're absolutely right. There is kind of an impact, and as NFL teams are looking to it's a business, so they're trying to expand their revenue. Yeah, they're tapping into those global markets, so it's fascinating. I mean, you have soccer teams out in London and Madrid they built their stadiums to how can we also have our soccer pitch and then add in for concerts and then add in if we wanted to have an American football game. Like, that's a crazy concept that they went out of their way to do that.
Yeah.
And so it's fascinating that Tottenham did that and Real Madrid.
And didn't Florida, even college, Florida State started their season overseas
in Ireland.
Yeah, you're seeing that in college now. With obviously with NIL, your players are starting to get paid, but it's nuts. It's really cool. I feel like sports is becoming something where barriers are starting to get broken, like language barriers, cultural barriers, geographical barriers. It's just sports. People just love sports now.
I'm not going to think we made it until I see Little League games in Europe. So Little League American football
until
would be
my
amazing.
Little brother's baseball team has a salary cap, I won't rest. I will not rest.
I think that's the way God intended it. So.
Yeah. Amen, brother. Link, I got a question for you, and this is kind of a hot debate between athlete connoisseurs, and as a sports connoisseur yourself, do you think if the U.S. only had soccer, do you think that the U.S. men's team with athletes like LeBron James, maybe not Kevin Durant, but you've got these Anthony Edwards, look to the NFL to DK Metcalf. Do you think that these athletes on a soccer pitch, are they competing at an international level like we're seeing across the world for soccer.
Yeah, like pretend like today we just stopped every other league, and yeah, the World Cup is going to be in 2 years here.
Yeah.
Or less than that, I think now. Yeah, let's say all our resources are committed. You're right. I think we could do quite well, but the problem is I think we have an issue with how most of our sports are like. They're not stamina based to an extent. So like football, you play for 10 seconds, hard as possible, and then there's a break for 30.
Even the NBA, you're going back and forth, but you're sprinting and you come out. And there's so many free throws nowadays that you're taking
a lot of
so many
stoppages.
breaks.
And think about all the time in those stoppages, you have a chance to talk with your other teammates and the coach.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest difference that I talk to a lot of people in terms of why soccer is just so different. It's just it's almost like a lack of chemistry and like an unwritten chemistry that you have to have in soccer. When you got, if I was kind of like a wing back, and so if I needed to communicate to my other wing back, I didn't. But what I would do, you just have to hold a line defensively, and so you just have to mark and make sure you're not causing an offside. It would be so nice if I had a chance to be like, hey, like we need to communicate.
A pause.
Right. Or we could do like Omaha or like whatever we needed to do.
All different plays.
But, right, and you get into this weird thing where it's like, okay, I think we're super strong, but how can we like almost transfer our athleticism into like we just need to run forever?
Yeah,
because that's kind of how soccer is now. You don't even see a bunch of like technically gifted players in today's world. You don't see like the Ronaldinhos really like coming out in the UEFA Champions League, and so. All you need to do right now is just can you have a good first touch and can you run forever? If you can do both of those things, you can make the roster. And that's what I tell to Saquon Barkley. That's what I would tell to
Lamar Jackson.
Anthony Edwards. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? That's what that's what I would do. So.
Lincoln's pregame speech, just come on, just run.
Run
Forever.
Do the miracle from the Olympics and be like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
If we play them 99 times, we might lose, but not this one.
We need to win once. Yeah. Come on, guys. We have each other, and that's all we got. They might be bigger, stronger, faster, more skilled, and be paid way more money, but we got each other, guys.
The power of friendship does numbers, man.
True. I've got a question, and I'll be quick because I want to hear from each one of us. Which non-soccer player do you think would translate the best? If they you take their resources and the effort and the money they've made towards making them the athlete they are in their respective sport, and convert that all to soccer, who would be the Lionel? Would we have a Lionel Messi from the United States?
Give me Bronny James on the pitch.
All right, I'm not asking this guy.
All right, no, I'll go last.
Okay.
You got one off the dome here?
Off the dome?
Yeah,
it's so hard because, honestly, I'm just going to take speed, and I'm going to go probably Tyreek Hill. Give me Tyreek Hill.
He's old, though. He's getting up there.
Yeah, but this is not a perfect scenario.
All right, you're talking about
just,
prime?
Yeah, okay, give me prime Tyreek. Give me the cheetah. I just think him as a winger, as like a left wing, he's probably right-footed. I don't know, dude.
He'll figure it out.
Yeah,
He's Tyreek Hill.
he's got his whole life doing this. I just think that would be. Yeah. I'd love to see that.
Okay, so Tyreek Hill.
I mean, my brain automatically goes to Kareem Hunt. I mean, that guy can kick. I'm just kidding.
Get some power.
I'm just kidding. I don't know. I feel like Lamar Jackson. I mean, you see that guy, and I feel like one thing I've heard about soccer is it's a mental sport as well.
True.
It's not all about physically, and that's why they're in these academies from the time that they're like 4 years old to play in these like big time leagues. And so you look at Lamar Jackson, he can see the field, he knows how to get to where at what time, and so I think with just his speed, his elusiveness.
I love that.
I feel like Lamar
good
Jackson.
Give him.
Link, what do you got?
I'm trying to think just because I was trying to think of like an NBA route, but at the same time, like you don't see a lot of tall soccer players.
No.
So you'd have to go with like a point guard who's like
what I mean?
6'1", 6'2", and just a freak athlete.
Right. So I was almost thinking like the best kind of like demographic you could do, like a running back or like defensive back,
Yep.
a wide receiver in football. I think that's what the route you got to do.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think, as like a point guard in the league.
I personally love Anthony Edwards. Kobe Bryant was a fan.
Kobe
He was a big
really
soccer
could've done
fan
it,
too.
yeah.
Dude, I was.
Rest in peace, my
Dang,
man.
Kobe was my answer, bro.
Oh,
it
no
was?
way!
Because
My
you started
bad.
talking about mentality, bro. You talk mentality like nobody
Yeah.
could beat the Mamba mentality. Like Bryant would be, you talk about somebody putting in the work day in and day out, getting there early, working on himself until he was the best of the best. It's Kobe Bryant, dude. So that was my. I'm gonna go Ben Simmons now because he's Kobe Bryant.
Gotta go Ben
I'm just kidding. No,
Simmons.
Kobe Bryant's
same
my answer.
mentality though. I mean, same level of talent.
Yeah,
same-
yeah.
I'm just messing.
Yeah, I got kind of a different question for you. You spent a lot of time around Utah athletics, and I feel like we're kind of in this state of growth where we tried to get the athletics. We just got a hockey team, and there's all these like kind of semi-pro, like the Salt Lake Bees is a AAA team, AA team.
You're right.
And their growth here, their presence here is huge. And so when we look at like growth in Utah, when do we think that it's going to kind of go into this major market? Because they've proved they can still sell alcohol. So that whole NFL argument of why there isn't one,
Right.
it's kind of gotten rid of.
That is
So
a great point.
yeah. So when is that going to break out?
That's a great question because I'm almost arguing, like I want to see Utah more than anything just be a dominant like sport market. Anything, like, if I could devote my life to that, I would.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would look like, but I would. But at the same time, I almost want to make sure we're stable with the new. Now that we have a hockey team here, can we still get 20,000 to show up for RSL? Can we still get 15,000 for the Jazz 41 times a season? And then, on the other hand, 15,000 for 41 home games for the Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah.
Like, is that sustainable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can even get more obscure than that and be like, can we support Utah Warriors? We now have a professional volleyball league. Like, there's so many other different like market that we've tapped into that I'm now saying to myself, like, okay, maybe we should just see if it's working now.
Yeah.
I think we've made commitments to the renovations of the Delta Center and other stuff like that. And so if that's working, great. And then we can tap into the baseball markets or just to see how everything else is going. But I wouldn't want to ruin a good thing. And so that's why, like, I hope that if we can continue to support the Utah Hockey Club and whatever the name may be in the future, that will be like a testament to show, hey, we can bring baseball. We can, maybe the magnum opus would be an NFL team.
Yeah.
But whatever it would be.
Yeah.
Dude, for real.
Yeah.
Gosh, NFL needs
Salt Lake City something.
Yeah.
Salt Lake something.
Absolutely, yeah. And we got the Olympics coming up too, and
Oh, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it'll come faster than people think, and so like one step at a time.
Well, I mean,
so.
Utah just as a state, like, I think in the 2020s, it's the fastest growing state. It's got one of the best
Is it really?
economies. It's one of the safest places to live. Like, it is booming. So, to your point, Lincoln, if we can see that our sports markets are going to be stable, and I mean, I'm not too well versed in that, but from what it seems like, we've seen stability so far. Like, it's going to explode because Utah's just growing in general, and as it grows, like, it's going to become a very large marketplace, and it's just not going to make sense. My guess is easily within the next 20 years, maybe within the next 10 years, we're going to have an expansion NFL team out here. Or, like, we're going to have a team, like a smaller market team like the Indianapolis Colts, or we're going to see somebody move it.
Yeah.
Like, Utah, it's gonna keep growing. It's going to keep booming. Especially with, like, I mean, BYU and the U, like, talk about two college markets that are, like, absolutely dominant in
Sell out
the
their
industry.
football stadiums everywhere.
Yeah, sell out their football stadiums. If you've been to the games, like, you see, it's electric. So
Shout out to
it's a
Utah
great
State
market.
as well. The Aggies they're getting there. Weber State's also growing as a program.
Yeah, we have some
So we've got
very gritty programs for collegiate sports.
Oh, it's-
just think about like where we were as a state at the start of the 21st century when BYU and Utah were in the WAC.
Yeah.
Or
Are we kidding?
Maybe at the early stages of the Mountain West. That's wild. It's
pretty
so
awesome.
They've really had to just claw themselves out there and be like,
sure.
no, we still want to compete. And it's
Yeah.
just kind of how the market is for college sports. And, you talk to a lot of older people and say, like, the game's not what it used to be. And I agree with them. I do sympathize with them. Having said that, we got to keep going. Like,
Yeah.
because the SEC, the Big Ten, like those markets, they're just going to keep pumping in
sure.
more money, more resources. And so it's such a win for the state to see Utah State at least pursuing to go to the Pac-12 and getting that locked in. to see BYU performing the way they are in the Big 12, and obviously to get that rivalry like almost resurged, you could say. And Utah's been dominant in so many other things. Basketball and football have been an eyesore to look at, but everything else just seems to be progressing well. And so,
definitely.
Yeah, it's growing in the right direction for sure. And to your point. Yeah.
And sorry.
No, I was going to close up for a sec.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say like kind of shifting gears, just more of like a general topic. Like we are talking about, how college sports are becoming a lot more dominant. What are your guys' thoughts? Everybody can pay their players now. SEC is suddenly not so dominant anymore. What are the thoughts about like just NIL? Is it overall beneficial to college sports? You think it's detrimental? Like just the trends from what we've seen. What do you guys think is we're looking at here?
Well, NIL money comes from the state. It comes from people who support the teams, and so people in Utah have some deep pockets. I'm going to be honest.
It's true,
especially BYU. I mean, look at that BYU basketball program.
Yeah.
Just this next year and for the years to come, it'll be pretty exciting. Hopefully, Utah. As a University of Utah fan, I hope we can start, pulling some funds together to get some of these bigger players because.
Cam Rising is just not cutting it for.
Yeah, Cam Rising. We're not going to talk about him.
Put him on the court. Put him on the basketball court.
That name's blacklisted.
He still has eligibility in basketball.
It's true. He's got eligibility. He's only like 45.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this guy is he was one of my favorite DBs for the University of Utah football team, and his name's slipping my mind. But he had a huge NIL check come in from Alabama. He left the University of Utah for Alabama. He was a sophomore.
Oh, for real.
And it was sad because he got the offer to transfer to Alabama, and he went to Utah first and said, if you guys can match this, I'm not leaving. But this is millions of dollars what we're talking about.
Dang.
And Utah was like, we can't afford that for a DB. Like, we just can't do that. And so he left for Bama, and I don't blame him. I love the loyalty, but it gets to a point where, like, you would turn down how many millions of dollars for that L word? So
and it's different. Like, in the NFL, you're already making millions. If you get offered a contract that's like a couple million more, it's like not the biggest. But comparatively speaking, like your point, if you're a college athlete and all of a sudden you get offered life-changing money and you don't even have to go pro, you are going to destroy these smaller market programs that just can't keep up. So, double-edged sword.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where I do sympathize with fans a lot and just being like, how can we sustain this? Is this really like good for the sport? I got a chance to learn a lot from like the athletes' perspectives too, and it really gave me like a lot of insight how they have just so much more possibility for their future. And let's say they go to a school, it doesn't work out for them the first year. Maybe they had a tough relationship with the coach or just didn't really get well on the depth chart. They still have like 3 more chances to really break through. That's just life-changing. And that really gives them a chance to really finish college too, keep progressing that way.
Yeah.
I should become like more prepared for this before I got here, but there was a group of 5 coach, so it was one of the smaller schools of the FBS. One of the coaches said like, hey, like if a student transfers from my school to a Power 5, like maybe like we should be getting some compensation from that.
It's a great idea.
And it, like the analogy was almost like I hate to bring soccer back, so I'll just briefly insert this in. But it's almost like there's like a transfer fee in a way from these smaller clubs.
You buy out.
Yeah, to buy out the player, and then they'll go. That will still help and strengthen the program because...
Wow, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, you're seeing some of these schools in Division I football and basketball that are kind of in limbo of like, I don't know if we can support this anymore. So there's been a few schools that say we'll drop all the way to D3 if we can't do this anymore. And so there's a weird discussion around that. But yeah, at the same time, it's like it's hard for us here in Utah to be that critical of it because like we mentioned before, we're just so gritty. We made all these chances and all these advancements through different conferences and clearly excelled enough to be where we are today. That in some ways we benefited from it, and then also in some ways we wanted. And so there's a weird kind of ethical
Yeah, definitely.
discussion to be had.
Lincoln, thank you
Absolute
for coming
dog.
on, dude.
Yeah.
We're
Fine. No, you guys are great. Thank you.
we'll have you back because I mean we can talk about your life, but we can talk sports too, man. Like
Hey, the more the merrier.
It's-
Absolutely.
we
If
got
I'm
4
sitting
seats
here and I'm enjoying listening to soccer news, and I'm like, this guy's good. This guy's cool.
I'll do whatever I need to do. Yeah,
I want to go watch
yeah.
soccer now.
Perfect. I did my job then.
Yeah, we love you. Link and I, we've been in touch we've been friends for probably since freshman year.
Yeah.
So I think
Time.
10 years plus, maybe.
Yeah.
It's been a while,
Right.
man. We go
That's crazy.
a ways back, and Lincoln has been a huge role model of mine because, I mean, he was right up there with us guys. Like we see you as equals, or as equal, and you know, for all of the limitations that you've gone through in life, man, like it hasn't limited you at all. Like you're still an athlete that have played at a level that we've never played at. And I love you, man. Seriously.
Thank
it's been
you,
fun
man.
to
I
have you
love
on here.
too. Appreciate it.
Yeah, dude.
Love to see what
course.
you guys are doing. This is great.
Yeah.
We got to get on this NBA stuff, I feel like.
I know. There's some
It's
good.
so
I know.
MVP race, bro.
Yeah.
Who you guys got?
Oh,
Give
dude.
me Iguodala. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing.
Yeah, give me. I mean, I think to me, it's not a race. I just think it's obvious. SGA, I see the athlete that he is. SGA is a beast. He's dominating at his position. He's putting up numbers that we don't see a lot of. But I mean, I just hate how many free throws he's taken a game.
Dude, if you see his flops-
oh, dude,
oh my
exactly. His
gosh, dude.
flop highlight clip is just disgusting. It's atrocious.
Gosh, it's so bad, dude.
It ruins if kids now are watching him do that. And so if that's the future of the NBA 10 years from now, it's going to be a nasty NBA to watch. So for that reason, I'm out. No, just kidding. Give me Jokic, man. He's so dominant, consistent. He sat out a couple games this year, which is actually out of his character, which, yeah, he's just phenomenal, man. I think it's a no-brainer for me.
I'm also on the Jokic train, and you're averaging a triple-double, which is arguably the greatest season of all time. And there was another point where it's like, you can kind of relate it, Jokic is a better player. Is SGA more valuable? You kind of relate it to like the Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. But my point there is, where are the Nuggets without Jokic? What are they, number 2 or 3 in the West now? Where are the Nuggets without Jokic? So I think that not
They're
only
right
is
next
he,
to the Utah Jazz.
yeah,
if that's the case.
Not only is he the best player in the league right now, he is by far the most valuable player. He's an absolute dog. He hits, 64-foot shots like it's nothing. He Euro steps from half court. I don't know his percentages off the top of my head, but I know he's shooting at a crazy high percentage, he's a guard. So even for a guard, he's shooting at really, really good percentages. So, and they're already known for shooting, higher than average percentages. So I think Jokic is definitely my MVP.
I just wish he looked like he was having any sort of fun.
But that's what makes him so cool, dude.
like 30,
interviews are
20,
so
20,
funny.
he's like, this has been the most miserable day ever.
He's like, I literally don't care about that game.
I need to go back to my farm.
Yeah, he's like, I have to go home. No, the parade? No, I have to go home. It's like, dude, you're the greatest player in the league right now.
Yeah, I got Jokic, dude. Same reason. Just look at his statistical season. It's an anomaly. A 30-20-20 game. I just don't think. I feel like they kind of get voter fatigue. In a lot of leagues we do, where it's just kind of like, oh, he's won the MVP so many times, he voted for him so many times. But it's like, he is just that good.
Yeah.
And so I don't think the MVP award is not about getting someone else relevancy. Mm-hmm. It's about who's the most valuable player. And to me, that's Jokic.
There's voter fatigue, and then there's the best season you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
It's at a certain point, voter fatigue can only carry you so far, and then you have to just face the music that he's undoubtedly the MVP.
Yep.
Link, what's your take? Who's your MVP?
Yeah, I think the way you guys brought up, good point about the numbers, the efficiency, and then on the flip side, you got the voter fatigue. And so I do believe, I will say I think they'll give it to SGA just for the reason, I believe both Cleveland and OKC, their records, there's just a huge, staunch difference between everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think they look at that and go, okay, he's the most valuable player on the most valuable team. And I think that's an important role to it. And I
Definitely.
do understand, you make a great argument of how valuable you are. Like clearly, the Nuggets are Jokic. There's no denying that.
Can we just talk for 2 seconds about how the OKC almost swept the Eastern Conference? Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
They lost one game to the Cavaliers, the number one team, and they went 1-1 against them. But they went 2-0 against every single East. I've never seen that. I mean, the Golden State Warriors, did they do that? Did
they might have done that on that 73-9.
And their 73-9 run. They probably got pretty close to that. Yeah. But just dominance, which goes to show how competitive the West is. Yeah. The West is deep. There's some good teams.
I mean, you got the Utah Jazz, absolute killers on the court.
Hey, all right, Utah Jazz, best first half team in the NBA. Give them whoever they play against. They compete for the first 2 quarters, and then they're like, all right, we're going to have Walker Kessler take threes.
I don't want the NBA to investigate it to get into it, but it would be fascinating to look at the records if it was the end of the third quarter.
I would love to see that.
We got some pretty good. If I don't think there's ever been a worse fourth quarter team than the 24-25 Utah Jazz.
On purpose.
And that's kind of one of the things when you bring in. The other thing is I just want to plead to Adam Silver. Like, Utah's never had a number 1 pick. We've been here since 1974.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give it to us now.
Please.
We're begging. But yeah, it's the first time that we've ever had 60 losses. Yeah. We've been in the league for a long time. We're not known for this. Okay. It's not in our character.
Oh, yeah.
Please.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The honor today is mine to talk about my take of the week. And my take of the week is this. I've counted this week, for some reason, I've seen 4 smart cars on the road. And every single time I see a smart car on the road, it pisses me off so bad that I see somebody driving a smart car. I think they are the dumbest vehicle ever made. It looks like you're driving a gumdrop. That's my take. I think if you're driving a smart car, go get a real car or just switch fully to commit to the golf cart at that point.
Commit to the golf cart. They're surprisingly spacious.
Come on, dude.
I'm just kidding. I've never driven one either. I just.
But I wonder. I actually am curious because there's got to be some reason that people drive a smart car, and I mean, I'm looking up right now.
Let's Google this. Why do people
drive smart cars? Do they want to know that if they get into a fender bender, they're completely dead immediately? Is that why you get a smart car? But even gas mileage, 34 to 39. Give me like a new Corolla or Camry or something, and you're getting that easily, if not more. So I don't know. I don't know why. I have no reasonable reason to be angry when I see a smart car, but I have like a visceral reaction of like, why are you in that car when you could be in any other car? I don't know. Maybe I'm alone on that debate, but that was my take.
Final thoughts on the smart car debate. No one's here to defend it. I mean, we all drive normal cars.
I get you. I'm in a small Subaru, and I think to myself, like, if I hit this car, I'm not in trouble. But like, you know what I mean?
That person's dead.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being in a smart car and you just like, I don't know, like a gust of wind just knocks your car over?
I bet you feel it. So
you're like, whoa. It's crazy. Anyways,
last final thing here is a Mini Cooper a smart car?
No.
I know they're different
it is
brands,
a stupid car, but it's not a smart
is that the
car.
same universe? Or is the Mini Cooper just its own little thing?
It's its own thing.
It's its own thing. It's like when you travel like overseas, you get to like, cars are smaller. I feel like the Mini Cooper was like perfect over there.
Yeah.
It's like the only car that's been successful here. And so it's got a little bit of like flair.
I can see that.
Sure, you don't really say Peugeots here, whatever that's called.
A Kia Soul's a stupid car too.
Oh yeah, any car that's shaped like a box is ridiculous.
The Nissan Cube.
The Cube,
yeah, that's like literally a box.
Soul, I think Mini Coopers are awful. I don't like Mini Coopers either.
Have you been inside a Mini Cooper?
I have not.
I think you'd love the feel of it.
The inside's like retro.
Don't accuse me of that.
It's not the same feeling maybe as like you're in Venice, Italy. But like if you're just chilling around, driving downtown, you'd be like, I feel a little special.
Yeah.
It's a little different than driving, just a typical car.
I think that the Fiat and the Mini Cooper are almost in their own. They're like those like cool little European.
They got a little bit of style to them. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's not for me personally, but like I respect it.
Oh yeah.
Give me a monster truck. Give me Gravedigger. I want to be driving Gravedigger down the highway. Yeah, I want to get 2 miles per gallon. But anyways, no,
Okay.
Lincoln, again, thank you so much for being on.
Love you,
Boy,
Link.
this was great. Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap.